Hello there, and welcome back to Vintage Story. I hope you're having a wonderful day. On today's episode, Arkwolf learns that he forgot to check his microphone before recording a full episode, and therefore has no audio. So we're recording all of this in post. Yay! Anyway, so we're going to do something a little different today. I am going to throw up a screenshot quickly. Be up for about 10 seconds. And there's an Easter egg in this screenshot. If you find it, just see if the comment found it in the comment sections. At the end of the episode, I will actually share I'll show you what the Easter egg is. Yeah, it's a bit of engagement farming, but you know what? We're here for fun, so let's have a little fun, right? It's weird doing this all as postscript. So at this point, I am firing up glass, and we're going to go finish the greenhouse. I'm going to be finishing up glass a lot because we're going to need a lot of glass for the greenhouse. But when we come back, you will see the progress, at least the first update. Oh, and how do you like the little wood holder I made here? I thought it was a nice little decorative addition. Change of plans. Dubbing over an entire episode, clip by clip, is just an utter nuisance. So let's just look at what I did, and I'll explain everything as we go. Do notice, though, it is about 8 days since I recorded that first clip. Yeah, that's how much time I spent working on this. Let's go to camera mode. Look at that. I think that looks great. So what we did here is we put supports, I don't have any on me, on the outside, on the corners, going up, and we just followed the corners all the way around. We did that every corner, and then these are every 4 blocks. So there's 1 block here, 2, 3, 4, so it's in between, and then 4 over, 4 again, and then technically these end ones are 3.5, but you get the idea. And we did the same on the opposite side and on the inside to sort of double up on it. Now, I was debating putting the supports in the middle of the glass, but I don't know how that would work or how that would look, and I think this just looks a bit better. Sure, it might look a little wonky with the double glass. It's almost like seeing double in a mirror, but I think it does work quite well. When we go inside, you notice the top up here, it is in fact a greenhouse. If we open up our character screen, while we're in here, the greenhouse temperature gets a plus 5 degree bonus. So in this room, it's technically only -5, at least when it comes to your crops, which means we'll be able to plant, as of right now, carrots, parsnips, and rye. And we'll be able to grow them in here in the winter, or at least late fall. Now, the way I originally did this, there are blocks right here. Half slabs that have been chiseled. If I remove one, you notice we are no longer in a greenhouse. That's because the block above it is less than 1/2 block thin. And therefore it doesn't insulate. So I had to add this extra layer here just to make sure there's enough distance between the outside that it counts as being insulated. When I initially went through to add that glass up there, it wouldn't let me in a few spaces because of the framework. So I have these supports here anchored down there on the glass technically and coming up, but this crossbeam and these crossbeams intersected with this block. I realize it's very hard to explain it using regular glass. Using the chisel glass. So let me go grab some actual glass that's not chiseled, and I can put it down so you can see. Of course, that might break the support. By the way, I built all of this first, and then I chiseled it. Because if I tried chiseling, well, building all this without the chisel blocks, I mean, if I tried building this after having chiseled everything, it would be almost impossible to see. Yeah, you know what? I'm actually not going to place that block. I'm going to place it like here. So you notice how it intersects? So up here, on the other side of this half slab of glass, I have the support anchored to like right there on that glass block up there. And that way, where did I have it actually anchored to the ceiling? I may have actually I had it there. And because of that, when I tried to put in this glass here, it got in the way. So what I ended up doing is anchoring it to the ceiling block. And that worked. And by doing that, I was able to put the glass here and insulate the building. From a distance, you can't even tell it's there. You get closer, you can see the slight coloration difference, and obviously you can cursor over it. But yeah, it's practically invisible, and that works great. Likewise, the roof, I did have to add a few extra glass to make sure everything was insulated. Up there, for example, there's a full block of glass between the top of the arch, which looks like that, and the block underneath it, so that it is insulated. Cross beams for support, and yeah. Here we go. This didn't update before. It has updated now. It says +5 degrees from greenhouse. So as I showed before, well, right now it's down to only -8 outside, which means in here, if I planted something, it's technically only be -3. Now, it will get colder overnight, so you do want to make sure you plant stuff with some range. So like I said, carrots, they can go down to -10, which means as long as the outside temperature doesn't drop below -15, we should be good. Future plans, now that we actually have a greenhouse, is I'm going to see if I have enough compost set aside to turn all this high fertility into terra preta. I'll also see if I can't find terra preta. If I do, well then everything gets replaced with terra preta. If I don't, I will probably replace it in segments. So do some terra preta, and as I get more, replace it. But I don't want to necessarily use the high fertility if I'm going to be replacing it with terra preta. Well, especially if I'm going to be turning it into terra preta. So in that case, I'll probably pull up all the high fertilities, and that is why it is still not tilled. To test it, I tilled some medium fertility. And we'll just do medium fertility in here until I have enough terra preta. So I put this here because I was thinking I wasn't going to need it. And I realized this is double wide at the back, so this area needs to be hydrated. I'll figure that out later. So if we run upstairs quickly, we can look at it from above and see how that looks. Yeah, it looks pretty good. The snow isn't gathering on a few of the blocks because of the chiseling, but otherwise, I mean, I fell off the roof. Otherwise, it looks quite good, and I definitely like how the supports frame it. So there are a few spots where I want to add more, but I feel like if I added more, it would be too much. You know? If we jump down here, I feel like I could go up from here. Move my hand out of the way. Up from this beam to the top cross beam, but yeah, that might just look too much, you know? So I don't think I'm going to be adjusting it any further because I'm losing my train of thought without repeating myself. Now, sometimes less is more. I think this is one of those cases. If I add any more, it's going to be too much. It's not going to look as good. So, what am I going to do next now that the greenhouse is finally done and we can start growing winter crops? Now that we are almost at the end of year 2. Well, we have this nice open spot over here, and I do like how we have the cementation furnace essentially built into the side of the wall here. So what I was thinking is grabbing our windmill, which is just a beam, and building the actual windmill over here, and then having a little glass tunnel run from the side of the building here into the windmill, and we'll have our gears and our workshop in the windmill, and we can keep our rest of our workshop in here, rearrange it a little bit, but that way this would be our workshop. We get all of our working done, all of our forging, and then for the windmill it'll be right there for when we want to automate plate production or bloom production or that sort of stuff. I did make myself a steel shovel and a steel pickaxe because the amount of glass I went through to build that greenhouse was just obscene. There is a quartz vein over here that is just getting bigger and bigger, or at least the hole in the ground is getting bigger and bigger as I have to keep digging up more of it and blasting more of it using the mining charges to actually supply our quartz need. But yeah, I've been using my shovel a lot because I'm cleaning up the dirt, and well, you see, we've used up almost half of a steel shovel. We used up an entire meteoric shovel, and I figured go with the steel. It'll last just slightly longer, not much longer, but a little bit longer. All right, so that's the next plan. Like I said, I've still had no luck finding cinnabar. So the barn has still yet to be repainted. It'll happen eventually. I just don't know when that'll be. I'll be honest, I recorded for a good 8 hours yesterday to get everything done. Crafting everything here, chiseling it, placing it, you know. I had a good solid 25-minute long video, only to realize as I was going to edit that the Microsoft update that went through the other day disabled my microphone. And nothing really pulls you out of it like realizing that a whole video you recorded is now useless. So I really don't have any more plans for today. I just got in from my run a little while ago. I did 18 miles. I am exhausted. I definitely don't have the energy to sit here for another 2 or 3 hours to figure out what in the world I'm going to do next and record it. I guess the least we can do right now is go start planning out the windmill. That's why I always have ram dirt on me. It's a good outlining block. So if it's going to come... So I was thinking... But first off, I was thinking of doing something more like alpine for the windmill, but I could not find a good alpine design for windmill. So I was thinking instead of doing something more cross-shaped, right? So we're going to have one wing like this. Why am I punching that? I've got shovels. You know, I can actually do this more like a Celtic cross. and continue it down this way, and then this would be where the windmill is. Probably do the gears underneath, and then in each of these wings could be like the pounder can be over here, the grinder or the quern and all of its piping to automatically pick up the items that fall out of it can be over here. Over here, of course, would be the entrance. The main drive shaft will be down the middle, and then I could do the forge. The anvil with 3 or 4 health hammers can be over in this section here. And that might look pretty good. I will have to go collect a lot more lumber. Or, no, I'm not doing plaster. Collect a lot more lumber. I could use dirt and then dye it using the pallets. I do have plenty of pallets. And go with this sort of idea shape. I might do that. I feel like that's going to be a compromise. And then from here, we can connect to this building here using, like I said, a bit of a glass tunnel. You'd be able to come in or out easily between the two. We'd have one forge in here. I was thinking of moving it around, right? So move that. Have the forge there. Have the anvil after the lag spike there. And then do the, I'm not going to move right now, but the fire pit with the crucible there. And that way you've got everything right here. Still got to go over to the wall to get your tools, but it's not that far of a journey. So it's not that big of a problem. And make a, expand this down to be a full block so I can hang this from the lantern. Hang the lantern from the ceiling. Which, by the way, I recorded this part and it died. I was told in the comment section in the last video, and I hope this is true because it would be too good if it was. The way you pronounce this alloy, an alloy of lead and copper, is moldy chocolate. Yes, I hope that's true. Because it's too great to not be true. Okay, let's look at that Easter egg. Can you see it? Can you see it now? That is an EFO. And I have it under the ethos slab. I thought that was a little cute addition I added. All right. I'm going to end it here then. Much shorter episode than I normally like to do. I'm sorry about that. Extenuating circumstances and whatnot. I will get to work on the prepping for the windmill. So until next time, thank you for joining me today. I hope you've had a wonderful day. Thank you to my channel members for your support. And I'll see you next time. Later.